Hello and welcome in for another edition of Blizzard Warning. The Avs are back at home on the home ice after that 6-game road trip, and that was intense. If you're tuning in on Facebook and joining us, please allow us permissions to view your name, know who we're talking to, and give you a shout out if you decide to comment with us. If you're on YouTube, welcome. That information is given already. And if you're looking for something delicious to put on any of your steak, chicken, pork, whatever it is, Willow's Blends and Seasonings are perfect for you. They are an official sponsor of the Colorado Sports Connection. And to earn 15% off your online purchase at willowseasonings.com using the code CSC2024. Jenna, Avs were back at home. We've had 2 successful games, 2 wins in the column after a terrible 6-game road trip. What are your immediate thoughts on the Avs being back at home for at least 2 games?
I always love it when the Avs are back at home. I think it's a good reset for them, especially considering that they've been so good at home this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's good for them to get back home, get some wins in the win column, hopefully reset, and get better out on the road.
Yeah,
that was a rough road trip.
Seriously bad road trip. I think we finished that road trip 1-4-1 overall.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked when they came out and said that Justus Annunen would get the start against Tampa Bay. That final game of the road trip. I immediately looked at it as you would want to put your best goaltender up in that situation, that being Alexander Georgiev. But
yeah.
Listening to some feedback on some other shows and the radio and everything else, and they're like, they're all just tired. This is like the day 12 of a 6-game road trip, and everybody's just ready to get home. And you have Justus Annunen, who's only started 1 of the 5 games up at that point. Throw him in, let him play, and let Georgiev have those extra 2 days rest. I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it as best on best possible matchup to try and get 2 more points on the road. But it all worked out, and to be honest, it was probably one of the better moves if you think about it, because Arizona has been a pain in the ass for the Avs this year. I'm thankful we're done with them.
Oh, I know. I don't know what it is with Arizona.
I don't know. We managed 4 points out of a possible 6 against the Arizona Coyotes, as we lost 2 games in overtime to them at Mullet Arena. So getting one here at home, getting a solid win 4-3 here at home was much needed for the Avs. I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Central Division standings are running across our ticker on the bottom part of the page. Not a whole lot's changed as far as position. In fact, positions didn't change in this division. What did change is we're starting to see that separation of the top 3 teams, Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, compared to the rest of the pack. St. Louis is in a wild card spot right now, if you look at the standings out in the Pacific Division as well. But there's a clear gap forming where we are 14 points clear of St. Louis, and Winnipeg's 13 points clear of them. So it looks like we have an idea who's going to challenge for the Central Division title towards the end of the season, as we are 8 days away from the end of February. Can you believe it?
That's wild.
Leap year too. So
yeah,
there's that part of it. You were bringing up the Avs home record. They play well at home and everything else like that. And you're absolutely correct, as the Avs are one of the best teams at home, as they currently have a 22-5-0 record on their home ice. The only team to come close to that record right now are the New York Rangers, who currently lead their division, and had a fantastic week of their own, as they were one of the Stadium Series teams, and we'll dive into that a little bit more later. But Rangers are 37-16-3 with a 27-0 home record. So one of the only 2 teams with 20+ wins on the season so far. And I have to say, I'm impressed with what the Avs have been able to do at home.
Yeah, they've been impressive to watch at home. I don't know what it is about the home energy, but they just feed off of it, and they play really good hockey.
I've been to a couple of other arenas, and each arena has its uniqueness to it and everything else. But I truly feel the passion of the fans at Ball Arena is something
Mhm.
to behold. It starts with the national anthems and it goes through the entire thing. Yes, we don't have what's his name, the guy that used to do the national anthem as he
Oh,
retired after last season.
yeah. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but he was awesome.
It's gonna reminisce in the back of my head, and I'm gonna hear Alan Roach's
Someone's
voice.
gonna blow us up about it.
Somebody should blow us up about it.
I
Um,
know. I know. Somebody's gonna
22
blow us
5
up
and
about
0.
it.
The Avalanche continue to win at home. Nathan MacKinnon. Let's 27 game
Chasing the
home
great
streak.
one.
He is chasing Wayne Gretzky
The
for
great one.
so to try and tie his record, or pass his record actually, because he can. Gretzky had 40 games. Believe the Avs have 41 home games, so he could potentially pass Wayne Gretzky for the streak. So
And
we'll
that
see.
was
Well,
that year Wayne Gretzky got a point in every home game, right? Of the
every home
LA Kings.
game that they played that season with the LA Kings,
That's what I
and
thought. Okay.
that is the streak that Avalanche forward
That's
Nathan MacKinnon is on right now, and it
yeah.
came down to the third and
27
final
seconds.
goal with an empty net goal. He got an assist on it. It was crazy to see. You know, a lot of.
Lehkonen got the assist.
I think Lehkonen got the goal. It
Oh yeah,
was
Lehkonen got the goal. MacKinnon got the assist.
yeah.
Sorry.
MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen were the assists as they played some
Mm-hmm.
tic tac toe across the neutral zone, and Arturi Lehkonen put that in from the other side of the blue line
Yeah.
to net the final goal for the game, which gave the Avs a 3-1 win again in their first matchup against Vancouver. Vancouver is the leading team in the Pacific Division as they currently stand with a 80 points. They are the first team to hit that mark in the NHL. They hit
Yeah.
that a few games ago
I was gonna say a little bit
because
ago.
they're on a 3-game losing streak right now. And if you guys didn't watch these games, it was incredible. So earlier in the week, I think it was Saturday, they played the Winnipeg Jets, which was, a big game for them and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. And I actually had a bet on that game. I was like, I put under 6.5 goals in that game, and it was Jake Schroeder. Yes, Chris,
Yeah.
thank you. Chris
Thank you,
came through
Chris.
with it. Jake Schroeder was the former singer for the Avalanche as he would do the national anthem and the Canadian anthem before games. Jake Schroeder was an amazing. He wanted to retire and move on. So lady does it now. She's got a great voice as well. I know a lot of fans were upset when they moved on, but all good things eventually come to an end.
It's true.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But Vancouver lost to Winnipeg 4-2. Vancouver was upset with some of the penalties that were called on them at
Oh,
some point in the
yeah.
game. And then Monday was their first of a back-to-back series against Central Division foes. They played the Minnesota Wild on Monday night before they came to play us last night. So
Right.
this game was insane. I don't know if you guys saw this or whatnot, but this game, I got to pull it up. There were 10 games on Monday night, and
Yeah,
this
there's a
by
ton
far
of
was
games.
the most entertaining game out there, as the final score in that game was 7-10 Minnesota. I think both starting goaltenders in this game were pulled at some point. Or no, Casey DeSmith played the entire game for the Vancouver Canucks as Thatcher Demko was set to go against us the next night. But the Wild did pull Gustafsson, I think, after the second period and put in Marc-Andre Fleury, who allowed 2 goals himself. So, but yeah, look at this. Listen to this stat line here for you. Let me pull it up. I got to pull up the scores on this one. But you had Ian Cole scored his second goal of the season, 251. And then it looks like 11 minutes later, JT Miller scored to give Vancouver a 2-0 lead. And then Joel Eriksson Ek scored his first goal of the night with 50 seconds left in the first period. Pretty even first period, 2-1 Vancouver. Nothing to really to worry about there. Pretty typical game. All right. Then we get into the next period. Elias Pettersson scores at 5:37 of the second period. Then JT Miller with a power play goal. Then Boldy for Minnesota. Then JT Miller for his third goal of the night at 14:30. And Marcus Zuccarello caps it off with a power play goal to end the second period. So again, 3-2 Vancouver in that period. So it's 5-3 at this point, 2-goal difference. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5-3 in this game. And then the third period. You're gonna just this gets insane. 29 seconds into the third period, Eriksson Ek scores his second goal of the game. A minute 23 into the game. This is 30, 31, 50, 54 seconds later, Kirill Kaprizov scores his first goal of the game. And then 21 seconds later, Eriksson Ek scores his third goal of the game for his hat trick. So we got two players with hat tricks in this game. At 4:48 of the third, Rossi scores for Minnesota. They're now up 2 goals, 7-5. And then Kirill Kaprizov scores at 5 minutes and 12 seconds. That's 24 seconds after Rossi scores for his second goal of the game. 8:26, Nikita Zadorov scores his third goal of the season. And then we have no scoring until the 17:52 mark of the game. That means there's 2 minutes and 8 seconds left in this game. Bozer scores for Vancouver. It's 8-7. And then the last 2 goals were both empty netters for Brodin and Kaprizov at 18:53 and 19:58. Kaprizov being the third and final person in that game to score a hat trick. Final score 10-7.
That's wild.
That's absurd. So you come into last night's game, and you've got a Vancouver team who's lost 2 games against Central Division opponents on a back-to-back. Best team in the Pacific Division coming to play one of the top 3 teams in the Central Division, and it was a knockout, drag-out fight for most of the game. I mean, if you looked at that game was just intense from the get-go. I think we went the first 10 minutes with nobody scoring. Vancouver finally got one by Georgiev, and then you had the Avs scored a goal in the second period, right? I believe.
We did. It was Johansen. Scored the first goal.
So you guys get the Avs score in the second period. I'm pulling up yesterday's games. There it is. Ryan Johansen scores in the second period, and that was it. It was a 1-1. It was a back and forth game. And then the third period comes around, and Johansen gets another goal a minute 35 into the third period. And that is it. That is it until we get to the final 5 minutes of the game. And Vancouver was just all over the Avs last night.
Salting the net.
Can
we just talk about Sam Girard's amazing couple of saves last night, though? Like, Sammy G had a couple of amazing plays at the net last night.
Girard had some amazing plays. Arturi Mackinnon had some key blocks. Dude, the Georgiev save where he's like on his ass, like staring at the wall. And then I don't know how he sees it out of his peripheral, but the puck is just kind of like floating towards him, and he just sticks his glove out, and he's like, "No, I'll take that. I'm gonna hold this right here." The number of times he got like pushed out of position, and he's just like stuck to the post, like, no, I'm not letting this puck through, was
Yeah,
incredible.
it was wild.
I love seeing that kind of tenacity out of Georgiev as a goalie. And that 30th win last night was earned by him. Absolutely 100% earned. And
Absolutely.
I feel he deserves everything that's coming his way. Let's get back to this. People are still harping
I know.
on the amount of playing time that Alex Georgiev is getting for the Colorado Avalanche. I had this conversation, or I typed up on Facebook on Avalanche Fans United Facebook group page, which is I'm an admin on. One of my friends basically posted a talk piece about, hey, here's this. Let's talk about this. The good thing and whatever. And I said this. It's a bit funny that many say he needs his rest as he will be overworked come the playoffs, but it's very likely that Georgiev may, like many goalies, will start every single playoff game unless the Avs have a comfortable series lead. While having a great combo for goalies is a good thing, my example was Boston Bruins with Swayman and Ullmark, it can ultimately backfire if the goalies aren't getting consistent playing time. Those of you don't remember, Boston was not swept, but eliminated in 7 games against the Florida Panthers.
Right.
I mean, how much regular season rest? And I asked people, it's like, how much regular season rest did goalies like Waugh, Osgood, Brodeur, Fleury, and Quick get the years that they took their teams as Stanley Cup titles? I gave some examples of these goalies, and I had somebody come back and tell me, when's the last time a 60 game goalie who started 60 games made it to the Stanley Cup Finals and won? It's been decades. It's been forever. I don't know. I will straight up say I don't know. He wanted me to go do all the research on top of all the other research I had done for today. But I did find out that the year the Avs won the Cup, the opposing goaltender, Andrei Vasilevsky, played 63 regular season games that year, on top of the 23 games he played in the playoffs.
Right.
And he had a solid record. I think he was actually a Vezina Trophy candidate that year. So I'm not saying it's likely that Georgiev's going to be a Stanley Cup winning goalie and play 60+ games and all that jazz. I'm just saying it's out there. But my thing is, the reason why people want Georgiev to play less games is because of injury. The injury bug, the injury concern, that's always an issue, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I think that a lot of people don't look at older school hockey of it was very common back decades ago for goalies to play the entire season.
Yeah, most of the
season.
And
that was normal. And now a lot of teams have gone to this tandem system. And so when coaches don't do the tandem system, I think fans freak out.
Well, I think the tandem systems become the norm across the NHL and across many hockey leagues out there.
That's why
it's
when
for you to have
coaches
two
don't do
quality
it.
goaltenders. And it does bode well. It does bode well for a team to have 2 quality goaltenders when it comes to salary cap restrictions and having to make a decision. It's easier to make a decision if you have a couple tandem goalies and one's playing better than the other, but up and by a wide margin. But if you're a team like the Boston Bruins, who are going to have to face this sooner rather than later, which one do you keep? Do you keep Jeremy Swayman? Do you keep Linus Ullmark there? Who's the guy that is going to be your long-term answer and goal if it comes down to the money part of it? And while goaltenders typically don't make a ton of money until after they've won multiple cups and been a Vezina Trophy winner and all this other stuff, there's still money that has to be poured into the position. I don't necessarily disagree with, some people, and the individual I was talking to that responded to my comment and everything. He's like, the Avs aren't looking for anybody to be a tandem 1B type goalie to Georgiev's 1A. They're more looking for a quality backup like we have with Pablo Francouz, who was playing 20, 25 games, a season, which would keep Georgiev at that 55 to 60 mark.
Range.
If you look at Georgiev's stats, which for this season and last season, as I put on the ticker here, he's got 47 games this year with 46 starts, and he started 62 games last year. He's only 10 wins away from tying his career best year last year, and he's played already. We're looking at 16 less games than what he played last year.
Wow.
And the Avs still have, I believe, 20
some games.
The Avs have 25 games remaining. So 25 games down the stretch, how do you balance the workload for the Avs, as you've got playoff teams that the Avs have left to play? Detroit Thursday night, tomorrow night, Toronto on Saturday, Dallas next Tuesday, and that's your playoff contenders for the rest of February.
Right.
Then you've got Detroit, Minnesota's fighting for a wild card, Vancouver, Edmonton, Pittsburgh's fighting for a wild card, Rangers.
Yep.
Minnesota again, Edmonton twice, Dallas, Minnesota. We got a lot of games against Minnesota. We haven't played them a lot this year at all. I don't think we've played them at all this year.
I don't think we have.
So we haven't played. I don't think we've played Minnesota yet because we got 3 games against them coming up. We haven't played Edmonton yet because we got 3 games against them coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And we got 2 more games against Vancouver. So
okay,
you got playoff caliber teams you got to play in the remaining 25 games. Only a handful of those games have teams like the 2 games against Columbus. I think 1, maybe 2 more games against Chicago. So that's 4 of 21 games. The rest are likely against playoff caliber type teams. I mean, you've got the occasional like Nashville or Montreal in there who are fighting for
anything,
potential wild card positions or whatnot, because nobody's been officially eliminated yet. If you go and you look at the standings, you can't really start eliminating people until you got like 15 games left in the regular season, and that gets us like almost the end of March. So I believe in Georgiev. I think he's going to be great. I think he's doing great things.
I think he's doing good.
Will he play 47 games? How many of the last 25 does he play? I mean, if he plays 16 more games, that puts him at 63 games on the season.
I don't think that's unreasonable for him to do, actually. With the way that the load has gone right now, I won't be shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked either if he plays another 16 games. I will be shocked if he plays 80% of the,
Of
if he plays upwards of 80 to 85% of the last 25 games. Because 80% is 20 games. If he plays 20 of the last 25 games, that means Eustace Annunen, or if the Avs make a move at the trade deadline right now, is gonna be interesting, because we just don't know where the trade's going to be. Because if we look at recent trade rumors, Marc-Andre Fleury has spoken with reporters, and reporters have printed that he wants to stay. He wants to stay in Minnesota. He wants to help Minnesota fight for a playoff position, which I respect that.
Yeah.
You look at the season that Minnesota had to start the year, and then they fired their coach, and now they're fighting for a playoff spot. This is a really heartwarming story for a hockey club that was completely down and out to start the season. Yes, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for being like, heartwarming story, Minnesota. I don't care. I'm a diehard Avs fan, but I'm a hockey fan too, and I like seeing these stories across the NHL with teams that have struggled and fought back and all this other stuff. So And who doesn't love Marc-Andre Fleury? I mean, come on.
Come on.
The dude's a national treasure for
As I
hockey
say,
fans.
if you're a hockey fan, you have to love Marc-Andre Fleury.
So, Jenna, where do we go? Where do we go to find this this backup that's going to eat the quality backup that fans want, that's going to eat a lot of some of this these games if they don't want Georgiev playing?
So I was looking up some goalies that are available, and I was looking at Jake Allen from the Canadiens, but his the cap hit is a lot. So in order for that to happen, Joe is gonna have to do some Joe things, because his
Joe
cap
and Chris will have to figure it out. It's for sure,
because it's 3.8 mil.
Yeah, 3.8 this year, 3.9 or 2.3 next year. He is.
But he's their third line, like he's their third goalie.
Yeah, he does have a modified trade clause.
He has a .901 save percentage over 17 appearances. He's only 33 years old.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a thought. This is somebody who is a Stanley Cup champion, as he played with the St. Louis Blues and helped them win their first Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely somebody worth looking into right there.
I think so.
I gotta look up his stats real quick, because I had a question about him and his Jake Allen. There we go.
Yeah.
This dude. So the 2017 year he played with the Blues. Hey, look at that. He played 60 games. He started 60 games in the regular season for the St. Louis Blues.
Oh, no.
And guess who won the Stanley Cup that year?
The Blues.
St. Louis Blues. So it wasn't decades ago.
There's the answer to your question.
I found the answer to my question. It was Jake Allen. We found an answer for him.
You're welcome, Scott. You're welcome.
Jenna found an answer for me, and I couldn't remember who the Blues starting goaltender was, because Jordan Binnington was on that team as well. Jordan Binnington was not the starting goaltender, and I forgot all about Jake Allen. So this is a Stanley Cup winning goaltender. Played 60 games that year, as I'm looking it up right now. 33 wins, 20 losses, 5 overtime wins that year. And his playoff numbers that year, not great. I mean, wins and losses, not great. But he had 6 wins, 5 losses. He had a 196 goals against average and a 935 save percentage. That isn't terrible. When you're looking at the statistical numbers, not necessarily the wins and losses, that was kind of crappy. But if we look at, let's take a look at the St. Louis Blues and Jordan Binnington, because I believe that's when he really shone for the Blues, and why they decided to keep him was because he bailed them out in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Playoffs. No, it wasn't him that year. Was it? Well, it says 16-10 in 2018-19. Was that the year they won the Cup?
I thought so.
Okay, yeah, that was him.
Okay.
26 games started, 16-10 record, 246 goals against, and a 914 save percentage. So, is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Jake Allen, veteran presence, like you said, 33 years old, could be a great pickup. It's a matter of
money.
It's a matter of money. Who's the trade-off? How do we open up that money, that space?
Yeah.
To take on that contract.
Exactly.
My trade option, my trade rumor that I found kind of juicy and really want to see is addresses the second line center situation that the Avs have going right now. Casey Middlestott is a 2017 first-round draft pick by the Buffalo Sabres, 8th overall, and he is having a career-defining year with the Buffalo Sabres and is scheduled to be a restricted free agent at the end of this season. And the Buffalo Sabres are approaching that issue where they don't necessarily know if they're going to be able to re-sign him or want to re-sign him because how much he could potentially demand, and that they don't want to pay somebody who could potentially be their third line center that much money.
Right.
Because you have Dylan Cozens, who is one of their top centers, and you also have Tage Thompson, who is a pretty consistent player for the Buffalo Sabres as one of their other two top forwards. So it's kind of a rough go. Tage Thompson has had a down year this year. Middlestadt's had the better season, and Dylan Cozens has had a fairly down year. Well, Buffalo's had a down year altogether, so I don't think it's necessarily a player thing, but more of a team thing, as Buffalo sits 6th in the Atlantic Division. So,
yeah.
But Middlestott is being paid $2.6 million this year. He's a restricted free agent next year. Let's see what they're paying, what the Sabres are doing overall as a team. Buffalo Sabres current salary cap table. So Tage Thompson has a base salary of $5.1 million. Dylan Cozens $5.1 million. Their defenseman Rasmus Dahlin is $7.2. Looks like he has the biggest contract out there for them.
Okay.
Buffalo has cap space. They have $7.4 million in cap space they could potentially hold on to Middlestott and sign him to another contract. I don't know what their situation looks like next year because I haven't looked that far.
Right. Middlestott has 44 points on the season.
Yeah, it's it looks like the Buffalo Sabres currently have 49 people signed. Next year they're going to have a lot of space as they only have 26 players signed. So it looks like they're going to lose some contracts. So they got Victor Olofsson, who's a UFA, Kyle Poso, UFA, Gergenson's UFA, Robinson UFA, a couple of RFAs. Their defensive core is going to lose a bunch, and both their goalies are Eric Comrie is a UFA, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is a restricted free agent. So, yeah, they're
jeez,
yikes. I don't know what you're going to do, Buffalo. If I'm you, as much as I would love to have Casey Middlestott here, the Avs would have to find a way to sign him to a long-term contract. That's the biggest issue. And he's going to demand somewhere in the market of $4 to $5 million, probably a little bit more based on his play the last 2 years, because he had a career year last year, and he's only improving that this year. So if he's looking for money, his best bet would be to stay with Buffalo or find another team that's willing to pay him. If he's looking for a potential championship, I think that's the sell that Colorado has to make. Hey, we want you to be a part of this. We want you to come and help get us to the promised land. Blah blah blah, type deal.
Yeah.
So because I completely skipped over it and wasn't paying attention because I was just talking. Ryan Johansen.
Yes.
He's being paid $8 million.
Yeah.
$4 million from Nashville, $4 million from us this year and next.
Mm-hmm.
Had 2 goals last night.
Yeah.
Improved to 12 goals and 16 assists on the season. He's a minus 13 in the plus minus, and he's only averaging 15, like a little, almost 16 minutes of ice time per game.
Insane. Yeah.
Do you feel his performance last night alongside fellow veteran Zach Parise is enough to keep him in an Avalanche uniform past the trade deadline? Or does it potentially just entice
I think that
people to try to trade for
entice
him?
other teams.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was enough to solidify his time here in Denver as not coming to an end. I think that if we get the right offer and Joe and Chris McFarland can make something happen, I think that they will send him.
I I think the biggest issue for me is this is someone that Nashville put a lot of faith in, and when they gave him, his contract and $8 million a year and
Yeah.
everything like that, and they saw his play deteriorate with them.
Yeah.
I got pulling up his stats right now, but they wanted to get the money off the books as best they possibly could, and
Right.
50%, a 50% law retention for them. That's huge. That $4 million right there. That's huge. That's a
Mhm.
that's a Devin Tays. That's a Bo Byram type contract right there
Yeah.
for another player. So that's huge. You
Mhm.
free up $4 million. You're able to go and sign. Even if you don't sign like one person, that's enough money to sign a couple of older veterans to veteran minimum contracts,
Mhm.
and maybe fill out some, a couple holes around some of your franchise type players, and maybe
Right.
go and grab you a third line winger, forward, whatever it is, or a second pair of defensemen for 1.52 mil for Nashville.
Yeah.
That is.
Right.
So I respect the move by Nashville, but when Ryan Johansen was signed by the Avs, Chris McFarland was all, this is our guy. This is our second line center.
Yep.
He's going to fill out our top 6.
Yep.
He's going to be great. And I'm
Yep.
sitting there and I'm looking at that and I'm like, I didn't see a lot of Ryan Johansen in Nashville, but his name was synonymous with Nashville Predators, him and Roman Josi, as
Yeah.
being the guys on the
Yeah.
ice.
Mhm.
So I was like, $4 million, second line center, top 6 unit type deal. All right, sounds reasonable. I don't think it hasn't worked. I know
He
we
is
talked
not. He's
before,
not lived up to the potential at all.
but this was his first goal, his first 2 goals last night since
Since
December
December
29th.
29th.
And while he hasn't been a great goal scorer in his career, his highest goal scoring output, he's only gotten over 20 goals in a season 3 times. 2013-14, his third year with the Columbus Blue Jackets. 2014-15, he had 26. The previous year was 33. And then one time with the Nashville Predators, the 21-22 season, where he had 26 goals. He's gotten over 50 points six times. And his last time was 21-22 with the Predators. He had 63 points. He's got solid numbers up and down when it comes to assists.
Mhm.
20 assists on a regular basis,
Yeah.
but his numbers have dropped off, and he's not
Yeah.
playing anywhere near as much ice time. He's
He's
averaging
not.
13 minutes and 42 seconds
Yeah.
per game at the end right now.
Not second line center numbers at all.
And I'm sorry, but you can't. This goes across the entire NHL. You can't build an effective team with somebody you're paying $4 million to play on your bottom 6. You can't.
Right.
Your
No.
bottom 6, your typical bottom 6 players are going to be wingers that other teams have given up on, that you're bringing into the fold. Young players that have signed deals with you for, like, the case is for Ross Colton and Miles Wood, young players that came into us from other teams that have signed contracts, and they fill out that gritty line that is the third line. I have no problem with that. Both have the potential to grow into more than a third line piece. Miles Wood could be a similar type player to Valeri Nichushkin, in my opinion. You got Ross Colton. Yeah, Ross Colton gives you a little bit of that Curtis McDermott type energy, but is the more proficient skater and hockey player overall.
Yeah.
So I really like those signings.
Yeah.
And they have room to grow. These are both young players. Ryan Johansen is an established veteran.
Yeah.
You can't. And that's the other thing. If he wants to be that veteran, play from on a vet minimum contract and put up the numbers he's putting up, which is I think like 28 points this season, that's understandable. But I don't like it.
No.
Zach Parise has been on the team for a hot minute, and he's already
done more.
He's already done a lot more.
A lot more.
In my opinion. And I'll admit it, I didn't like
the signing. You didn't like that signing.
I didn't like the signing at all. 8 games. He's got 8 games under his belt, and he's got 3 points, a goal and 2 assists. He had an assist last night, and he had an assist against the Arizona Coyotes.
Yep.
So, and he's playing third, fourth line minutes.
Yeah, as I say, he's playing like 13, 14 minutes, right?
Yeah, 13, 14 minutes a game, which isn't terrible for somebody who's joining a team over halfway through the season and is set to retire at the end of the year. This is his little farewell tour. So I look forward to seeing what the Avs can do with it. But
I would love to see them do something to get Johansen's cap off our books and go out and get somebody else.
It's really going to be rough.
I know.
I mean,
I know. I've looked at the numbers and I'm like, I just don't see how this happens.
Bring. Who's that? Avalanche?
But, there's the famous...
they want us to take $4 million off their books and Ryan Johansen.
Yeah.
Tell them we're not here right now.
Yeah.
That is how every conversation is going when they see it's the Colorado Avalanche calling, because we have
nothing.
We have taken advantage of teams. I mean, the Rangers giving up Alex Georgiev, who's turned out to be a quality workhorse goaltender.
Yeah.
Huge.
The
Islanders and Devin Tays. That was the Islanders, wasn't it? I think so.
I think so.
I think it was the Islanders. But the Islanders and Devin Tays. Hey, Devin, sorry, you're not that important to us, so we don't want to give you a bigger contract, so we're going to trade you for practically nothing.
Right.
And now he's likely going to finish out his career with the Colorado Avalanche.
I would hope so.
Ross Colton, we like your tenacity, but we just can't afford to pay you, man. Miles Wood, you're a great guy. Yep, Islanders for Tays. Says Graham. Miles Wood, you're great. We just don't think you're as great as the Hughes brothers here in Jersey. Signs a 6-year deal with the Avalanche for like $2.5 million a year. That's a steal. Even though Miles Wood's numbers might not be
a couple of steals.
Great, but he's playing third line minutes. Yeah, he's averaging 13 and a half.
And he's young.
And he's young. This is a dude,
it's not like he's a veteran.
No, his best year was 17-18 with the Devils, 76 games played, 19 goals, 13 assists for 32 points. A -6. He's got 52 games played with the Avs right now. He's played all but 5 games for the Avs. Yeah, all but 5 games. He's got 9 goals, 12 assists, 21 points total, and he's at 0 for his plus minus. He's a career minus 63, so that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. That's one thing the Avs have been really good at is overall defensive structure of their game.
Yeah.
So I really like it. The Avs have a plus 30 differential, 212 goals for, 182 against. So plus 30 differential. Stars and Jets are both better at 38 and 37. Vancouver Canucks. How big was last night's game considering the Vancouver Canucks are a plus 54 on the differential?
Oh, wow.
Huge.
That's huge.
Huge. Who else has a good differential? Florida Panthers plus 51. I think there's a reason we lost to them on the road. Things that make you go, Speaking of and the East Coast and the road trip and stuff, let's get to some other stuff that happened in the NHL. We've already talked briefly about we talked about the Vancouver, Minnesota thing because that was a hell of a performance.
Yeah.
I think the biggest topic of discussion, and we didn't really talk about it last week, even though we should have, was the Morgan Rielly suspension for his hit against the Seniors player after he did a slap shot into the empty net.
It was so disrespectful. It was Ridley Gregg.
Ridley Grieg, I believe is his name, is how it's pronounced. But I agree with you. 100% goes against everything hockey etiquette wise.
Yeah.
It's an empty net goal. You go in, you toss it in.
You just toss it in. You don't act like there's a goalie there.
But here's the other caveat to that.
It was a shot to the head, I think, was part of it.
No, I'm not even going that far yet. The two teams involved, the Ottawa Senators, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
That is a rivalry game.
Yeah.
That is a rivalry game. That's the biggest topic right there. Right. A rivalry game. And this dude went in and was like, icing on the cake. I'm going to slap this one home, blah, 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 whatever. I get Toronto's coach defending Morgan Rielly's actions, all this other stuff. I totally get that. Morgan Rielly's a veteran player. You know, I think Grieg was kind of a younger player. I don't know how many years he's been in the league. Graham can probably look that up as we're going to talk about this for a second. But Morgan Rielly's actions, there's a different way to go about it. Ridley Grieg, the Ottawa Senator player that got
21,
got assaulted by Morgan Rielly, and why Rielly's been suspended. But I don't agree with the way Morgan Rielly handled the situation. He basically assaulted this kid on the ice.
From behind. It's
one thing. Yeah. It's one thing, like, he does a slap shot goal, you go up and you fucking cross check him or whatever and knock him to the ice. That's fine. But like he straight up sucker punched this dude, which reminded me of the Bertuzzi hit. You know, all those years ago.
Yeah.
You know, Bertuzzi threw his glove off and then hit the guy. Right. But Morgan Rielly didn't go that far. But it's still a significant.
It was still from behind. Like, the kid did not see it coming at all.
Yeah, Grieg was a first round draft pick in 2020.
Yeah, he's only 21.
So this is likely his first or second season up at the NHL level. Mm-hmm. But Morgan Rielly wanted to appeal his suspension. I mean, like, I've never been suspended before in all my life and all this other stuff. I'm like, bro, you just assaulted a dude on the ice.
Yeah.
I understand etiquette and all that other stuff, but there are other ways to go about addressing that instead of just, sucker punching a guy on the ice. So suspension got upheld, which 20 games for the Senators last year. So he's a second year player.
Okay.
you'll never you'll never truly forget his name. You'll forget his name because you don't talk about him that often. But somebody's like, remember that Ridley Greig kid who got his ass kicked? Oh yeah. You'll never truly forget his name, but his name will still stick around. Yeah, yes, I agree. Poor play on the kid's part. Got to teach him some manners.
He didn't think it would go that far. He was surprised. That's what he said. He's like, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal.
I was surprised I got my ass kicked.
How could you be surprised by that? You were so disrespectful.
That's when you sit there and be like, dude, you've been playing hockey since you were how old?
Yeah, you know.
How many empty net chances have you had? How many of those have been slap shots? If you're offsides and you're still skating towards the goal and shoot the puck at him.
He hit that puck so freaking hard. I was just like,
I felt like I was watching the hardest slap competition again.
I know. I was like, does he realize that this is not the All-Star Game skills contest?
Congratulations, you had 101 miles an hour.
Now you get a fist to the back of your head.
By the way, Morgan Riley coming up. He wants to have a chat with you real quick. I don't know what it's about, but it doesn't look like it's going to be good.
It doesn't look like he's happy.
So Morgan Riley's still suspended. He'll eventually come back. I don't think Toronto's dying without him.
No.
Toronto has
with them having Austin Matthews still on the ice.
Yeah, you have the leading goal scorer in the league in Austin Matthews, who is gonna.
He's on pace for 70
goals. Yeah,
75.
for 70 plus goals. It's insane.
It's insane. He's only the 5th player in NHL's history to accomplish consecutive hat tricks.
5th player. Jesus, that's insane.
Isn't that insane? Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Hat tricks in 2 games last week.
Yeah. That's insane. Man, Austin Matthews is 26 years old.
Yeah, he's
49
young.
goals, 24 assists. Yeah, he's Austin Matthews goals by season, rookie year 40, 17, 18, 34, then 37, 47, 41, 60, 40, 49 this year. 348 goals. Let's see where that puts him all time.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I'm trying to pull it up. I don't want hockeyreference.com. I just want my freaking NHL records. That's all I want. This is what happens when you use the same pages over and over again. Where, it just
thinks it can read your mind.
It's like I hate that predictive text stuff sometimes.
Oh, I do too.
NHL record. Here we go. Records. Skater. Most goals career. Right now it's Gretzky, 894. Ovechkin's got 838. And he is Sidney Crosby's at 581. He's the next active player. Sidney's at 21st overall. Steven Stamkos at 34th overall with 538 is the third active player on this list. Next page. Malkin at 51st. Pavelski, Patrick Kane, John Tavares, Jeff Carter, Zach Parise, Corey Perry, Anze Kopitar. A lot of older players on this list. Go figure. Brad Marchand.
Marchand dropped gloves on Monday.
Oh, he's not slew footing people now?
No, he actually dropped gloves for real.
So Connor McDavid
and everything.
Yeah. Connor McDavid has here's one for you. Connor McDavid has 619 games played, 324 goals. He is 191st on the all-time goal scorer list.
Wow.
His wingman Leon Draisaitl is
Uh-huh.
178th on this list with 690 games played. 333 goals. Austin Matthews, this is going to throw you for a loop, because who gets all the MVP votes?
Connor McDavid.
Austin Matthews, 534 games played, 162nd on the list with 348 games or 48 goals. He's ahead of Connor
McDavid. But you never hear about him.
But you never hear about him.
I loved his facial expression after Cale Makar's hardest hit, though. He was like,
"Oh, whoa!" Which was weird because I think it was it Bozer or something, or Miller from Vancouver had 102 miles an hour as well, but it was like tenths of a mile slower.
Yeah, and it was after Makar. I think that's why Austin Matthews.
Yeah, so everybody's kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever.
When it was Makar's first hit.
Yeah. So, but little fun fact for you guys: Austin Matthews is ahead of Connor McDavid on the all-time goal scoring list.
That is a fun fact.
You don't hear a lot about him, so
no, you don't.
Food for thought. All right, last topic. Last topic. The Stadium Series. Did you watch any of the Stadium Series games?
I didn't get to watch any of them. I watched the highlights.
They were both entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
The jerseys for the Stadium Series game were pretty. I like New Jersey's Stadium Series games.
Yeah.
Theirs were pretty dope. So just to give you guys an idea of the jerseys that these teams wore, let's see if I can figure this one out. I am going to attempt to share my screen.
Oh no.
I'm going to attempt this. Let's see if it works out here. Oh yeah, here we go.
I did like New Jersey's.
There. Here's the
Yeah.
Rangers Stadium Series jersey, which was kind of cool.
I like those.
The Isles, the Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty basic, but they're not terrible.
No.
And did I have to present again? Yeah, because I clicked back to this. So yeah, and then we're gonna go.
The New Jersey ones were cool. I liked the New
The
Jersey
Flyers were kind of meh.
Yeah.
As well. Come on. It's not loading. It's being slow.
Oh no.
Images. Yeah, here you go. So the Flyers are right here. They're the away team and whatnot. I get it, but didn't really do a whole lot for me. And then you have the Devils. Look at those.
Yeah, I like the Devils. The Devils.
I like the logo. I like the play. I like the play on the the devil and everything that they put on the jersey, and they really kind of popped on the ice. There was a stark contrast once they got onto the ice. So yeah, I truly enjoyed their jerseys for the game. So the Devils and Philadelphia Flyers played first, and the Devils pulled out the 6-3 win in that game. It was pretty entertaining, back and forth. Really good crowd. They played at MetLife Stadium. I didn't know, Graham. I I was looking at different screens, man. I was all over the place, but I I tried. We'll figure that out at some other time, screen sharing and all that jazz. But so 6-3 was the final score. Jersey got off to a 2-0 lead, and then back and forth game in the third, and then they kind of sealed it with a couple more goals in the third for New Jersey. But the better of the two games was the Islanders and Rangers game.
Rangers, yeah.
This game was insane.
Went into overtime.
Yeah, went into overtime. The Islanders went up 3-1 in the first, and it was 4-3 after the second. And then they had a 5-3 lead. I think they had a 5-3 lead. Yeah, they had a 5-3 lead in the third, 2 minutes into the third period. And then Kreider scored with about 5 minutes left in the game. And then Mika Zibanejad had an absolute laser of a shot in the closing minutes of the game, last couple minutes of the game on a power play goal to send it to overtime. And overtime took all of 10 seconds. 10 seconds is all it took in overtime as they dropped the puck on faceoff. Our Timmy Panarin skated into the zone and put the puck on net, and it trickled in after the goal had become dislodged.
Right. This is crazy.
But because it was the Islanders player that knocked the net off, the puck would have trickled in regardless, so they awarded them the goal and the game was over.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first win for the Rangers coach in outdoor games. He was 0-5 at that point in outdoor games. So it was his first win as a coach at an outdoor game, and just pandemonium erupted. I mean, you had two of the biggest teams with the New York label on their jerseys,
mm-hmm.
and both games were, I believe, sellout, close to sellout crowds. 70,000 plus fans
mm-hmm.
at a hockey game. That is what the outdoor stadium series winter classic games are all about.
Mm-hmm.
Is that many fans coming together in one location and celebrating this amazing sport.
Mm-hmm. And they had really good ratings this year too.
They had fantastic ratings this year. They were a joy to watch. I absolutely loved it. But I will say this: NHL needs to do better with their entertainment around the outside of the rink.
Yeah, that's got to get better.
So the arena setup was nice and everything else like that. They were wanting to pay tribute to New York and Jersey, Philadelphia, the surrounding area and whatnot, with setups, like Central Park and sidewalks and benches and all this other stuff. But they literally had a woman out there pushing a carrot, like this baby carriage, back and forth with a doll in it. They had.
Can you imagine getting a paycheck and being like, "Yeah, this is what I did for X amount of hours."
I did this for 6 hours. I walked back and forth on this 50 yards, this area of 50 yards, just pushing a stroller back and forth because the NHL wanted to look like somebody was out there doing something.
Rolling through Central Park, watching
a hockey game. Through Central Park, having a great time. And it's not like they were doing it the entire time because of safety reasons. They can't have anybody out on the around the rink while the game is in progress.
Right.
They had like a little hockey rink off to the side. You could do like some floor hockey type stuff. You had PK Subban out there with the kids pregame and doing like the pregame show and all that stuff, interacting with the kids and having a great time. And it looked fantastic. But it's they couldn't do anything with any of it during the game, which is I'm just like, why can't we figure this out?
Yeah.
Why can't we do something like I've been to a couple Stadium Series games,
right?
And outside of the rink being put up, there's no way for them to put up like protective nets or anything around the rest of it to prevent pucks from flying and everything else. Like, fans are far enough away, but if you're gonna go to someplace like MetLife Stadium and the rink is like center of the stadium and there's nothing else around it, and you got to fill all this empty space with something that's going to be entertaining or whatnot, you're going to build a stage for your intermission shows and stuff like that. Cool. But you got to find a way to fill the void and maximize the space as best you possibly can. I think that's the one thing the NHL needs to get better.
Yeah, I agree.
Is filling that space, because outside of that, it was a good event, you know. Tommy DeVito coming on for the Philly Jersey game is like, his heavy New York Italian accent. It's just what we do, you know. It's just, but they had a blast with it, you know. The drummer from the E Street Band was there, you know, doing introductions and everything else too. So Jonas Brothers performed, I think, for the Rangers Islanders game, because they're from New York and everything. Right. So it was fairly entertaining, but I'm pretty sure the paid actors are kind of like, yep, this is what I signed on for. This is not what I was expecting when I went to this cast audition shit.
Expectation versus reality.
Boom. You're going to be on TV.
Yay!
And what's my role? Woman pushing carriage.
Woman pushing carriage in park.
There was a guy riding a bike on like a 50-foot path, just back and forth. That's all he did. I'm just like, you guys have got to do better, man. You know.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much more they could have done. I'm pretty sure they couldn't have done like what was the old cartoon, Troll in Central Park. I'm pretty sure Disney or somebody owns the rights to that, so they don't want to pay out for it or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, maximize your audience.
Yeah.
You know, NFL has done a wonderful thing with Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, to do, you know, all that kind of stuff. I wonder what the NHL could do if the NHL really wanted to expand a little bit more.
I don't know. I think they could.
If you're airing it on ESPN, let me give you a hint. You're part of the Disney bundle package. Go talk to Disney. Come on, get something going.
Talk to your bosses.
Go talk to Bob Iger. Let's get some shit figured out, guys.
Yeah, please.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for our show. Kyzer wasn't able to join us this week as he got tied up with some work-related stuff. But we are always looking for people to join the show. Come talk some hockey with us. That's all we're really doing right now, is talking some hockey, shooting the shit, having a good time, having a good laugh.
Yes.
So reach out to Colorado Sports Connection on Facebook. Shoot us a message. Let us know what you would like to participate in, whether you want to talk some Avalanche hockey, you want to talk some Colorado Rapids, some Colorado Mammoths, some Colorado Bucks, the minor league soccer team. I know they're looking for some people. We also got Rockies season starting, as pitchers and catchers reported this past week, and we're always looking for some Rockies coverage. I know it's not going to be a great season, Jenna. I'm not looking forward to that.
I'm saying back-to-back 100 loss years. Sorry.
Very, very possible. I think as the Avs are set for I think the total wins for the Avs has been set at 57.5. That's the over-under. I think I'm going to take the over on that, but I think it's going to be really close. I think it's like maybe 60 wins for the Avs this year, but likely a 100-loss season is very probable this year. Likely. But again, if you guys want to join the show, talk some Avalanche hockey, we are more than happy to have you. I love having people on the show. I love talking with people about Avalanche hockey. Jenna does too. So reach out to join us and have some fun. Until then, we are going to go. The Avs have 3 games, I think, this upcoming week before we are back with you guys next Wednesday.
One of them is Detroit.
We are on the road in Detroit tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That game is on Altitude 2. I believe the Nuggets are on Altitude tomorrow night with their game. And then we have 2 more home games, which are going to be huge, as Austin Matthews and the Toronto Maple Leafs visit on Saturday. That's a 5 p.m. game. I'm probably going to try and go to that game. I might actually try to go to the next 2 games.
Ooh.
As Saturday's game is early enough that I can go and then go to work. Red Bull's my friend.
Yay.
And then the Tuesday night game at 7:30 is on ESPN Plus, and that's against the Dallas Stars, another division game, a huge division game if things keep going the way they're going, is that is going to be a battle for first place in the Central Division.
For sure.
So 2 quality home games coming up for the Colorado Avs. I'm actually going to look at tickets for both games and see if I can't squeeze them into my budget. So until then, folks, we will see you next week, 6 p.m. Hopefully Kyzer's back with us. If not, we'll see if our behind-the-scenes guy, Graham, would like to join us next week live. So until then, guys, enjoy your week. Let's go Avs. Let's get some more wins in the books. And let's just enjoy hockey, man. Before you know it, playoffs are going to be here. So until then, everybody, that's Jenna Chavez. I'm Scott Cole. And we'll see you guys next week.